For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.
And we are live. Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite truck driver in the whole wide world, ex-truck driver in the whole wide world. It's Bitcoin Ben, broadcasting live from a secret location in St. Louis, Missouri. It's as secret as what the hell's going on with Bitcoin right now. Guys and gals, I have a list of what I want to talk about today. And this is only what I think I can actually get to in about 45 minutes to an hour, because I have a ton of calls. What I really want to stress here is July 22nd. Now, I told you guys about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, before it was officially announced. I had got a heads up that, hey, right after we pass the big, beautiful bill, we are going full-fledged, all in on friggin' cryptos. And guys, this ain't it. But as Caitlin Long said the other day, July 22nd will be a watershed moment for cryptos and especially Bitcoin. This is amazing with what is about to happen in cryptos. Now, I say cryptos, but remember the first wave of institutional and governmental adoption, that'd be Bitcoin, right? That's the first wave. Now, don't worry, altcoins, your day will come. But first, the big bad granddaddy of all of them, the Bitcoin, is walking through the door first. He is the king of the cryptos. All of the cryptos must actually bend a knee to the king while he enters the room. And that's what's going on. Now, I have been working my ass off, and so has my team at all of our clubs, at our new bank, the Private Key Bank. Because what we have done is we have set up a system. The whole point of our clubs is to help you accumulate more Bitcoin, right? And get educated and advised and consulted on what's coming next. That's why I've actually talked about AI, robotics. Guys, our clubs are not just about cryptos. It's Web3, it's robotics, it's AI. We will walk you through this transition into the new world. Shout out to my good friend on Cliff High. My good friend Cliff High and Heidi. Hi, Heidi. And if you're watching this on X, would you actually re-X this and actually tag Cliff High? Because I have a message for Cliff High. Thank you. Hey, Cliff. How's it going, brother? I'm starting to get the Cliff High shakes. I haven't had a Cliff High video in a while, so I start to get the shakes. I start to get the itches. So, in order to pressure Mr. Cliff High, I'm going to beg Heidi. Heidi, please tell Cliff to make a new video. We need our Cliff fix. Without the Cliff fix, no one's happy. So Heidi, do us a favor, share the Cliff. Don't hodl the Cliff. Once in a while, you gotta spread the Cliff love. Can you spread us some Cliff love? Thank you, Heidi, for your attention. Cliff, love you, brother. Okay, I appreciate that. Because I do need my Cliff fix. All right, let's jump right in here. And once again, if you're watching on X, re-X this mofo, because I'm going to break down everything that is going to push the Bitcoin well into the $200,000, $300,000, hell, for all I know, more than that. Numero uno, July 22nd. That's all I'm going to say. Watch for that announcement and watch for that presentation. Okay, yesterday, a U.S. Treasury representative says 401ks should be able to hold Bitcoin. Now, let me tell you guys something. There's a segment of the investment industry, and it is called passive investing. That's 401k money. Every week it comes out of your paycheck. You have no freaking idea where the hell it's going, but it's going to your 401k. Well, how about we make it a 401b, 401 Bitcoin? Because there's no legal reason why 401ks cannot hold the Bitcoin. They can. Easily. And that's also coming. Now, what makes that so important? That is weekly inflows. And I mean every week, the 401k structures will allocate a certain percentage into Bitcoin because it will be a recognized asset class. Now, that's a huge deal. Think about that. Michael Saylor, every week, he buys Bitcoin. That's one dude. Now, mind you, he's putting in billions, but 401ks, listen to this, guys, 401ks every week, they put in about I think it was $100 billion into treasuries and assets and stocks and shit like that every week. If they do 1% allocation, which is absolutely ridiculous, they don't do 1% allocation on anything. All right. If they do that's $1 billion a week inflow into Bitcoin. Now, that said, let me mark that off my to-dos list. All right. MicroStrategy, or MSTR, the shares. All right. They were just approved to enter into the S&P 500. Now, well, Ben, what does that matter? That just means that strategy is in the top 500. Well, that's a huge deal because there are structures in the financial that what are they called? They're like they're called indexes. All right. When MicroStrategy is in the S&P 500, that unlocks trillions of dollars that he can sell into to buy more Bitcoin. Why? Because S&P 500, there are packages, there are groups that will only actually purchase on S&P 500 or S&P 100. These are index funds. The S&P 500 is an index. It's a list of companies that are qualified for the top 500 companies in the world, or at least in America. All right. Now, eventually, strategy will go into the top 100 index. And that's another level. Now, that means insurance companies. That means pensions, retirements will all allocate to it. This is true. And someone wrote over here, trillions of dollars, right? Trillions of dollars of inflows into the Bitcoin. Now, that's that. Now remember, MSTR is only one mother plucker in a shitload of mother pluckers who are doing this. These are treasury, these are corporations that are selling shares strictly to buy Bitcoin. That's their business. There's hundreds of them coming out. Now, that doesn't include companies that are putting the Bitcoin just on their balance sheet. All right. If you have a company, let me kind of go into the weeds a little bit. If you have a corporation, if you have a company, if you have an entity that holds $100 billion, or even $1 billion, or $1 million, worth of Bitcoin. That is a asset on your books. So in the future, you got to think about this, folks. In the future, this whatever company it is, let's say Joe Schmo Shoes, all right? And I don't really think there is a Joe Schmo Shoes, but there should be, because I would definitely buy some Joe Schmoes, all right? Joe Schmo Shoes holds $10 million worth of the Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Well, then here comes Henry Toes, right? Henry Toes wants to purchase Joe Schmo's shoe company. Well, Henry Toes looks and goes, "Hey, Joe Schmo, how much is your shoe company worth?" And Joe Schmo tells Henry Toe, "Well, I got about $10 million worth of Bitcoin in my operating and my machines and all that, blah, 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 blah. That's worth about another 4 to 5 million." All right. Now, Henry Toes looks at Joe Schmo's shoes, and the most impressive asset in Joe Schmo's shoes is the Bitcoin because of the appreciation. It's an asset under the company. It's as if you owned land with the company. Like, well, Joe Schmo's Shoes, we have our factory here in Alabama, but we also own property in Florida. We also own property in California. We also own property up in Michigan. And those are the assets on our balance sheet. But we got $10 million worth of the Bitcoin. Yeah. It actually makes your company more attractive to be sold or invested in. Because, and it's exactly what Michael Saylor's actually doing, is hey, I'm going to issue shares actually based on the appreciation of the assets that are represented in the shares. And each shares over time, as he buys more and more Bitcoin, gets a percentage per share of the Bitcoin. Each share represents a larger amount of Bitcoin. So you're actually earning a yield on your share in Bitcoin. That's why everybody buys them. Everyone's like, well, why would I buy MSTR? Why don't I just buy Bitcoin? Well, you can do that, right? But you're an individual. There are certain structures that right now legally can't hold Bitcoin, but they can own MSTR. And that's how they increase their exposure to the Bitcoin through the proxy of MSTR. And MSTR per share amount of actual Bitcoin rises every time he does an issuance. So, in other words, the older shares are worth more than the newer shares because the older shares has a higher number of satoshis per share because it's a cumulative with each new issuance. You see what I'm saying? So you're earning a yield in Bitcoin. Bueller. Now, that's why MicroStrategies, now known as Strategies, went from a decent company worth 1.5 billion, give a little, take a little. Now they're worth $140 billion in 4 years. 4 years. Now why? His operational corporation hasn't changed a fuck lick, all right? But the appreciation of the assets on the books has jumped. So when people look at the structure and the security and the strength of the company, they see a little bitty operations company that makes software. Oh, look at that. He makes software. How cute. But behind that is a fuck ton of Bitcoin. In fact, it may be a double fuck ton. It may be 2 fuck tons. I don't know. But a fuck ton is a fuck ton. And that's as soon as he taps into the S&P 500, he's off to the races because he can issue into so many different oceans of liquidity. All right. It is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. This is absolutely crazy. Because, all right, let me elaborate on this. Michael Saylor just yesterday or the day before, all right, actually said that the Bitcoin will be the largest asset in the world over the next 4 years. The largest asset in the world within the next 4 years. Folks, that is the truth. Michael Saylor ain't. Let's really think about who this guy is. Number one, he's a financial genius. If you've ever watched one of his, the guy's a genius, all right? And he has a reputation. He has a reputation in the industry and outside of the industry. And do you think Michael Saylor is going to come out publicly and say the Bitcoin will be the largest asset in the world within 4 years? Do you think he didn't do 150 hours of research to make sure he could say that? Because remember, it ain't just Michael Saylor. It ain't like he's sitting in his mom's fucking basement eating Hot Pockets and drinking fucking Mountain Dew, crunching numbers. This guy has a plethy, I think that's a word, chat, let me know if that's a word, plethy. That sounds right. All right. He has a plethy of people who he can literally send them a text and go, hey, will the Bitcoin be the largest asset in the world? Plethora. Thank you. Ha. Plethora. See, I thought that pled. Yeah, I guess you're right. See, I thought that plethora was plural because it's Greek. Never mind. All right. My bad. All right. As I was saying. So, wait, what was I saying? Michael Saylor. Oh, yeah. He has a plethora since I was corrected. All right. Ha, 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 ha. I'm married to a former English teacher. Then I will take your word for it. Plethora of people that he can text and go, hey, is Bitcoin going to be the largest asset in the world over the next 4 years? All right. Then they do research. Now, mind you, this guy's paying them. They're on his payroll. They're going to bring him back the truth. And someone brought him back and said, yep, it's looking like it. Yeah, you can say that, all right? All right? You can say that now. So he actually comes out and he says, yeah, it's going to be the biggest asset in the world. This is absolutely amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love where we are going with this. All right. There's no downside. I don't see a downside at all, guys. I mean, right? I said, like, I think it was a month ago or so. Maybe it was 3 weeks. That $800 billion. No, I guess it was 2 weeks. What is today's? All right. I said on like June, at the end of June, that $800 billion was sitting on the sidelines waiting to rush in to Bitcoin over the month of July. Right. And that's just July. Wait till you hear the numbers. They are literally talking for August. And October ain't no joke, folks, because this is a cumulative. This is a cumulative as this legislation is implemented. That unlocks the legal ability for trillions of dollars in assets to flow into Bitcoin. That's what all of these entities have been waiting for. They have been waiting for clarity. And what's the name of the legislation? It's the Clarity Act. Why did they name it the Clarity Act? So all of the institutions, all right, have clarity on how they get into it. Because every major corporation has a compliance officer. And the compliance officer is the asshole. Right? Number one in assholes in corporations. Number one are lawyers. Lawyers will destroy your corporation. Lawyers will destroy ingenuity in any company. Never hire a lawyer. They aren't worth a fuck. All right. Number two is your compliance officer. That's the fucktard who usually fucks everything up. Because they're just like lawyers. Right? Lawyers will tell you no every time. Every time. Because they can't be wrong if they say no. That's why lawyers are useless little fucktards. That's why they always say no. You want your company to grow, never hire a lawyer because they're useless piece of shit. Number two, in a corporation, never hire a compliance officer because they're just the little shithead brother of the lawyers because they can't get in trouble if they say no, but they can get in trouble if they say yes. And if a corporation is always saying no, it will never grow. In fact, there's a saying in the corporate world, no means no grow. Now, I don't know if that's accurate, if there is actually a saying of that, but there should be. No means no grow. All right, if you're watching on X, retweet or re-X this bad mother plucker. All right. Here we go. Hang on one second. Word from the sponsors.
Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from CALIX Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from CALIX Solutions now to secure your crypto future. Learn more at calixsolutions.io.
And we're back. All right, I'm just scrolling through. All right. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. President Trump, and I saw this over in the chat. I just wanted to actually verify that the Genius Act will be signed into law at 2:30. I'm assuming that's Eastern time today. All right. Oh, I gotta look. Hang on one second. Oh, we gotta watch this. I like this guy. All right, I am gonna do a full screen share here. Wait, there we go. Oh wait, no, wrong one. Where the hell's right? Oh, there we go. Screen share. Share. Pull him up. Let me make myself smaller. All right, this was on yesterday. Here we go, folks. Listen to this.
Transition where the digital world will take off like a rocket to Mars.
So we saw Bitcoin hit all-time highs, capping over that 123,000 mark. And we've seen inflows in the past week that have been their highest of the year. Where do you see Bitcoin prices going in the near term and in the long term?
Well, I think short term it's going to $500,000. And the long term, it's very conceivable to be at $10 million. Because what happens is that one Bitcoin is worth 100 million Satoshis, and they're less than a penny. When they go and trade at a penny, that means Bitcoin's at $1 million. So when people go to Schwab and go and buy a HODL, a Bitcoin ETF, they're basically buying Satoshis. And for $1,000, they're getting almost 1 million Satoshis. $2,000, they easily have the best penny stock idea in the world because they're buying increments of a penny. And as adoption takes place, and there's a limited scarcity of supply, it will rise. Hey, I just saw the Birka bag, the original Birka bag, which cost $2,000, went for $9 million.
I also saw that same exact article. I do want to ask one follow-up, though. You say near term we're going to be at $500,000. What's that timeline?
I think by Christmas, I think that's the potential, is $500,000 by Christmas, because the adoption goes through these exponential moves, goes sideways, and then all of a sudden it gaps up, and the adoption process changes. So I remain very positive towards the industry. But
all right, now, did you hear that, guys? $500,000 by Christmas. Now, this guy is from a company called Hive. I'm pretty sure they're a miner. All right, I'm pretty sure Hive is a mining operation, if I recall correctly, because they're Hive miners. All right, this is a closing bell on the Schwab network. Now, those of you who don't follow the Schwab network, that's the Charles Schwab network. That's the shit I watch on a regular basis. All right. That's $500,000 by Christmas. Because as I've been saying, guys, as I've been trying to tell you guys, you have to get your plan set up for this. That's why I opened the clubs. That's why I bought the bank. That's why we have our loan programs. That's why we have our home refinance program to purchase friggin' Bitcoin. I would never tell you to get a loan against your home to purchase Bitcoin if it wasn't the last chance. You got maybe 3 months before we're at $300,000, folks. We're at 120 now. That's just over a doubling. And the big money's set to come in. Please, everyone watching right now, we have set up programs to get you set up for this. So you guys, you average Joes, average Janes, and if you're watching on X, retweet this son of a bitch so everyone realizes where we're at. All right? We've set up programs where we can actually get you a loan up to $250,000, not against your home, just a loan for $250,000 to buy Bitcoin, up to $250,000. We can get you a loan as low as $5,000 and get you some Bitcoin. What do you think Michael Saylor's doing? Dude, all right, here's an example. I know a guy, one of them's, well, he's one guy of two brothers that if I said the name, you'd know who I was talking about. Two brothers live in Florida, near Miami. Okay. One of them just mortgaged his house. The house was paid for. Dude mortgaged his house. And we ain't talking a couple $100,000 house. We're talking a $40 million house that was paid off. Dude just mortgaged that motherfucker to buy more Bitcoin. He knows what's going on. At our clubs, that's what we've set you up for. Is we have set it up where we can walk you through the whole. We have people at our office right now answering phones, helping people get loans and helping them get their Bitcoin. And remember, no KYC on the Bitcoin. That's part of being the club. You get your Bitcoin with no KYC. Well, Ben, how can you do that? We're a private membership organization. Wait, PMA. Oh, private membership association. It's something like that. But it's actually based on common law and not on civil law structure. That's how we do it, right? Because we're a private club. Remember when Carlin told us it's a big club and you ain't in it? Well, that's bullshit. We're a big club and you guys can be in it. I am telling you guys now, if you do not get into, and I mean jump in with both mother plucking feet, folks. Michael Saylor, you think he has one of his little toes outside of the Bitcoin? No, he's all in. At 2:30, the federal government of America gives us our first, we're all in. So let me wrap this up real quick. Give us a call. Send us a text. 941-413-6920. Give us a call or send us a text. 941-413-6920. Or you can check us out at BitcoinBen.io. All right, but I highly recommend making the call, because if you call or text, we get to you quicker. Because website accumulates emails, and you know how long it takes to go through emails. Emails are like the shittiest way of communication nowadays. All right. I think that's all I got for today. But I will see you guys on Monday. Regular show, regular time, all that. Now, let's kick ass. Let's take some names and let's get some mother effing Bitcoin. 941-413-6920. We can get you a loan. We can get you your Bitcoin, no KYC, and we can get your ass off of zero. Well, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're not on zero. All right. Rock and roll, everyone. Have a badass day. And remember, it's Friday, which means it's fucking Friday. Go out and have a margarita. Everyone, have a great day. I love you guys, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.
For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.